You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Good afternoon, Steelers Nation. It's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson with you here on a Victory Monday as the Steelers get back in the win column, desperately needed, with a 27-22 victory over the Baltimore Ravens that, Matt, had plenty of implications, obviously.
Yeah, big time.
In terms of the AFC North and the playoff status, in terms of, again, I think just a team that needed a win at that time to get feeling good again. And, of course, as we discussed last week, it doesn't matter if these teams are 12-0 or 0-12. Beating the Baltimore Ravens, your chief rival, in their building especially, always means something. And so here we go. We continue to do that week-to-week thing.
So week to week.
But this week, much better and moving in the right direction, certainly.
Yeah, and what if it wasn't? I mean, what if this game went like the Bills game did, and Lamar looks like Lamar and they're running all over you and you get out of there with a loss and you're behind the eight ball statistically and, man, where's this team at? Mm-hmm. Much needed. And as much as anything, I mean, you go to Baltimore in December, win against that franchise. I mean, I'm not even talking about this version of the team. I mean, that franchise versus this franchise in a meaningful game this late in the year, let alone to take, the division lead. Sign me up, man. I mean, that's great stuff. I think what I've been saying on some other shows is it's a really good step in the right direction. Is everything solved? No. Are they Super Bowl champions or anything like that? No. But, boy, this is a really good step in the right direction.
I think that's a great way to frame it. I'm with you on that. And I think that there was some of the things we've been asking for on offense we finally started to see, like some deep shots and real stretching of the field there by the Steelers offense, early, late, often. The defense. Hey, Baltimore made a couple plays in the run game, but for the most part, I thought a very stout defensive performance from the Steelers. You limited Derrick Henry. Yeah, you gave up one huge explosive play.
Yeah, big play to Mitchell.
In the run game to Mitchell at a kind of an inopportune time to do it, but it didn't end up costing you. And I think just overall, you'll take that from a Steelers defense that really struggled against this unit the last two times out.
Yeah, and I do the pre-game show with Tom.
Yep.
And we kind of ended it talking about, well, I doubt this will be a super designed run Lamar option football because of his somewhat compromised state.
Sure.
So you're going to key on Henry. What's a number you can live with? Like I said, this was Sunday morning. The game hadn't been played yet. What's a number you can live with if Henry gets 20 to 25 carries, which is exactly where he landed. I think at like 24 or something like that. You knew he was going to touch the ball a lot.
25.
25, okay.
Yep.
And I basically said, hey, I mean, I would take 100. I mean, if he's 25 for 100.
4 yards a carry.
Yeah, 4 yards a carry, does some damage. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a great player. Your run defense hasn't been great. And maybe even a little more. And they kept him under that. Now, there are some rushing numbers that are very frightening and lopsided. I mean, don't get me wrong. We'll get into them throughout
217 yards is still 217 yards.
It's 1,000%.
But it didn't really feel like it either, though, in a weird way.
It's funny because I recorded something with Mike and Rob, and we said the same thing. Like, at the end of the day, and I looked at the box score, I'm like, that was more than I thought.
Yeah.
It didn't feel as...
Didn't feel like Lamar had 43 yards rushing.
No, right. And it did not feel anything like the Buffalo game. Like the Buffalo game, you could have told me they ran for 500. I'd have been like, man, it felt like
Sounds
it.
right.
Right. But I mean, like, they had some good run defense moments. It's still below the line. Don't get me wrong. And frankly, the defense, I'm not harping on the negatives by any stretch, but in the second half, as has been the case, because they're on the field all the time, it felt like Lamar had a lot of easy completions. The running game was starting to get what they wanted from a Ravens perspective. But you stuffed them in the red zone, and you came up big on the end of drives when it mattered most, even though I'm sure they were tired yet again from being on the field way too much.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, I think, Matt, just, 30,000-foot view, if you would have told us on Friday that the Ravens were going to run for over 210 yards and the Steelers were going to run for less than 35, we would have been like, oh, that's going to be an ugly game.
They lost 30-0.
You're going to lose 27-6 again, like you just did to Buffalo or whatever the final score was.
I've seen that story,
I think that was it. But if you would have told us DK Metcalf was going to have 148 yards receiving, we might have thought, well, okay, the Steelers really hit some explosives, which they did.
They did.
The offense finally recaptured some confidence in the passing game, something that we had seen this season, but not lately.
Yeah.
And, and Aaron Rodgers played pretty well. And maybe that's the lead that I buried here.
That's what I say. I think
5 minutes
really
into this without bringing him up.
Yeah.
It was not MVP level Aaron Rodgers, but I certainly think it was the closest to that we've seen, maybe other than one or two moments early on in the season.
I think it was his best game as a Steeler.
I think it was, considering the situation, the moment,
the opponent,
the pressure, the opponent, the time in the calendar.
Had a broken hand, a broken wrist. I mean, oh, by the way.
That as well, absolutely.
So maybe that is the lead because, hey, you're coming off a win. Let's start with positive. This is a quarterback-driven league. And I was starting to worry about the quarterback position a lot. I mean, I don't think we hid that on this show the last couple of weeks. Like, what they're doing against the Chargers and the last couple of weeks at the quarterback position isn't going to take you where you need to be, no matter if it was Rudolph or Rodgers or whatever. And frankly, at this stage of his career in this season, I started to think, well, I think we have to officially be worried if the rigors of the season are catching up with an old man.
And he did just turn 42 last week.
Right. I mean, this is what happened. I mean, there's many examples of, could be, I wouldn't say the beginning of the end, but this is an uphill climb now for this particular player. And I thought he answered in such a big way, and there were some changes around him with his receivers, and he kept stressing about how this was our best week of practice I've had here.
Yes.
And practice matters. That kind of stuff reflects on game day. And you go on the road and you get a game you had to get, and mostly because of your quarterback. When's the last time we said that?
Ben Roethlisberger?
Yeah, right.
I mean, probably that
6 years
that
ago.
COVID season when the Steelers started 11-0 and probably 3 of those 11 wins, it felt like it was like Ben pulling a rabbit out of his hat at the end of the game to get the Steelers over the line. Yeah, maybe you're right. Shame on me for burying the lead in that regard. But 23 of 34, 284 yards, the touchdown for Aaron Rodgers through the air and one with his legs.
Scampered in with it.
How about that
kind
one?
of
And
fun,
he
right?
hit the discount double check as well, which was fantastic.
A little something extra in the tank. For
that had us all fired up in the booth. When he did that, we were all ready to go up there in the broadcast booth next to the Ravens booth, which by the way has Rod Woodson in it. So
that's pretty cool.
It's funny
and it's also he's a trader.
Yeah, I mean,
but he's super cool.
Yeah. And he won a Super Bowl there. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. Which they, by the way, they did that at halftime. They honored that Super Bowl team for their 25th anniversary. They had some pretty cool bomber jackets on that Rod Woodson was wearing. Yeah, it hurts my Yinzer soul to see him in that purple, but
you got to respect that team too, though.
100%.
Reed and Lewis and Suggs, and I mean that's a big time football team.
Absolutely,
right.
It was just good that Haloti Ngata was not part of that group because Max he sees Haloti Ngata and he sees red.
He boils, huh?
All reason goes out the window, and he just is ready. He's on 10. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers I think is maybe the kind of lead of this story. I thought you set the tone early with that deep ball to DK Metcalf.
Yeah, right.
He runs in the touchdown there, and you see the emotion from him and from the team in that moment. Baltimore starts opening drive field goal. Steelers come right back down the field and score a touchdown. Like, here we go.
Yeah, we're ready to go.
And I thought that was big in terms of setting the tone, turning the page. And that's really what it felt like in that first quarter. The Steelers turned the page. When you have 2 losses like they did back to back, sometimes that can linger. That's one of those old coach.
Put that to bed, yeah.
That's one of those old coach adages, right? Is like you can't let one loss turn into 2.
Mm-hmm.
Then
you start spiraling.
I want to say it was James Franklin, I think, in one of his interviews said this. Like Penn State went out to UCLA, right, and lost that game. And it was like we lost to Oregon in double overtime the week before, and we let one loss turn into 2, type thing, And
then it gets real bad.
And then it gets real bad. And I think the Steelers were kind of in danger of, if that first quarter doesn't go your way, oh no, here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Ravens come out, they get points on their first drive. If you go 3 and out there, maybe you pick up 1 first down and you end up punting. It's like the defense is trotting back out on the field. Oh no, here we go again.
Yeah.
And instead, it's like, bang, that was one of our better drives of the season. Big explosive play. Finish with a touchdown in the red zone.
Yes.
We've turned the page. Those last couple weeks are behind us. Let's go handle business.
Yeah, well said. 1,000% agree. And there is an emotional level to it. Like, oh no, this could have. Man, we just got punched in the mouth. How are we going to handle it? You know, that type of thing, too.
You think you're emotional as a fan. Imagine these guys.
Ah, right.
This is their livelihood. This is their career. This is what they've fought and scratched and clawed and bled for decades in their life. Believe me, they are well compensated for what they do.
Of course.
But that's
because they're the best of the best.
That's because
not anybody can do what they do.
What they've
right,
done and sacrificed and worked to get to this point.
Yeah.
And hey, the money is
a
nice.
guy like James Pierre that's been cut, and
exactly
we'll
right.
talk to him, but later he had a really good game
exactly
too.
Right.
But I want to get back to Rodgers super quick because a couple things stood out. Pushing the ball down the field was the obvious one, and boy, they've missed a lot of deep balls in the last month. I mean, there's some crazy numbers of gone a month without completing a pass 20 yards downfield.
And they completed 4 or more 30 yards downfield.
And even a couple games, even if they complete one more, the Mason game in Chicago, I think maybe they win if they just complete one deep shot. So that stuff was great. The way they featured and moved Metcalf around was what we've been looking for too. Really featured your best player.
Early and often, they got him involved.
But back to Rodgers, I thought his pocket movement, extending plays,
unbelievable.
Was the last couple weeks. I thought, man, he's running into traffic. He's inviting things,
holding the ball too long.
Right, I mean, doing weird stuff within the pocket. Where this was the guy you saw early in the year. It's like maybe he doesn't move like he used to, but still has the feel and knowing where the problems are coming
off
from.
A couple sacks in big moments.
This is a safe spot in the pocket. This is a danger spot. He knows all that stuff. He's not going the wrong way. But the thing that people don't think about, too, is very few negative plays. I mean, it's easy to look at the highlights but and this has been a theme of his career. I mean, I always talk about, like, the Hall of Fame quarterbacks. His low-light tape's as good as anybody. And it rarely put the ball in harm's way, or heard someone say, Pro Football Focus has that they have like a big time throw rate, which is your big throws, and he was real strong in that regard. But he's also turnover worthy plays was like none. Like what'd you do wrong? Not much. And you get a quarterback that does that, you should be in just about every game.
Exactly right.
That position's that important.
Exactly right. You don't turn the ball over. You take it away, although there was some controversy there. We'll have to get to a couple of those calls and see Matt's thoughts throughout the show today. Yeah, you were flagged for 7 penalties, but only 33 yards.
It felt more than that. It didn't really influence the game.
Only 33 yards in penalties. 2 of 4 in the red zone. That was kind of one of my beefs. Was twice, like deep into the red zone. Actually, 3 times deep into the red zone, you settled for field goals. One, you got bailed out by Travis Jones in that penalty that allowed you to get the ball back, and then you were able to punch it in. But kicked like a field goal from the 6-yard line, from the 11-yard line.
Further as a touchdown, sure.
But again, Steelers defense was able to hold Baltimore to 2 of 6 in the red zone.
See, I wouldn't have. Now you brought up red zone. I thought that was
there.
Super important in this game. So. Last year, 2024, not only were the Ravens the best red zone team in the league, but they were like one of the best red zone teams ever. I mean, Lamar's winning MVPs. And
Mark Andrews, Derrick Henry.
They had so many ways to attack you down there. This year, they've been like the worst in the league, where the Steelers' red zone defense is quite good. I mean, it's a top 10. I mean, it's been real good all year. And that was one of the keys going in, where a lot of the categories in this game, statistically, were Steelers are middle at this, Ravens are middle at this. There wasn't a lot of huge ones where there was
big
massive
strength,
advantage.
Big weakness.
Yes, but one of them was red zone Steeler defense. And that came to play huge. Again, if we were doing Ravens Nation Radio, we'd be like, man, what's up with the red zone D all year? I mean, red zone offense. We've been so good in it. We got the same dudes. Why are we falling apart here? And I'm sure they would complain. And we would probably, too, if it's the other way around of, man, refs didn't do us a lot of favors.
Well, if those 3 calls went the Ravens' way.
We might have a different story today.
The personal foul on the field goal, the likely touchdown that was overturned.
That's the most obvious one to me.
And then the Aaron Rodgers batted interception, non-interception, both of those overturned. Again, we will talk about those certainly more. But
I thought the Steelers were the better team.
I think the Steelers were the better team.
Yeah.
I think Aaron Rodgers was the better quarterback.
Yes.
And
Lamar played a little better than I expected.
Same.
He's starting to round into form a little bit.
He's starting to round into form. Might
he's still
be
not
a little,
the same guy.
Might be a little too late for them, but
maybe.
Yeah, both quarterbacks with a rushing touchdown. I think one of those wouldn't have surprised us, but the other might have. Missy told us this stat.
That was almost like a humorous play.
It was hilarious. I think that's why he hit the belt, because he was like, I can't believe this just happened.
It took him a while to get there, but nobody was close to him. Yeah.
Chugga, 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 chugga.
What's he doing?
Missy, I'm pretty sure this was the stat, and so if I miss it,
but you're close at least.
In good faith, I think this was the stat she told us on the bus when we got back on the bus. She was sitting right in front of Rob King and I, who's going to join us in just a minute here. Only 3 quarterbacks in NFL history 42 years or older have a rushing touchdown. Did you see this?
Yeah. It's Flutie and Brady.
That was
the
one we couldn't get.
Yeah.
She goes, who are the other 2? And we both right away go, Tom Brady.
Right.
And then we were like, Brett Favre. Like, we're trying to think of who the quarterbacks are that would even be an option.
Yeah.
You know, Brett Favre. And then we kicked around
Flutie
a couple
either,
other names. And she goes, Doug Flutie. And we were both like, you could have given us 100 more guesses. And we wouldn't have gotten that one. But yes, pretty cool for Aaron Rodgers. Vintage performance by him.
I think he's the second or third oldest human being to score an NFL touchdown.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not a lot of running backs play until they're 42.
Right, that's the thing. Right.
Not a lot of wide receivers play until.
Like Jerry Rice.
I was just going to say
Jerry Rice is just older or just younger.
Had to be one of them, because he was one of the few wide receivers that played into his 40s, because he's an absolute freak. Let's get to our first break. Let's talk to the voice of the Steelers, Rob King, his view from the broadcast booth, what he saw, what's on his mind here about 24 hours, a little over 24 hours later. We'll do that with the Kinger on the other side. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, just getting started here on a Victory Monday. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on The Drive here as we rock and we roll, and I can find my headset volume to turn up a little bit. And we go to the phone lines now to talk to the voice of your Pittsburgh Steelers, Rob King. Of course, you can hear him every Steelers game on WDVE, on the Steelers Audio Network, and him and Max Starks in the locker room at 10 a.m. on these airwaves every single day. Kinger, thank you for taking the time, as always, here on a busy Monday. And Matt and I listen, there's a ton to get into from that game. There's a ton to like from that game. But I think at the top of that list has to be the quarterback play, the form, the leadership, the arm, the elusiveness, everything that we saw from Aaron Rodgers and what might have been his finest performance as a Pittsburgh Steeler.
It might have been. I mean, I think he's looked this good for a lot of the season, and I think that the last several games, beginning with the Chargers game perhaps, have reminded us that there's been times where he hasn't, right? But it's also made us forget that, the Cincinnati Bengals game, I remember thinking, if anybody thought that the Steelers weren't improved at the quarterback position and watched that game, they had to have thought otherwise. They had to have had a different feeling about what the Steelers could do. Now, at that point, they were 4-2 after that loss. And of course, now they're just 7-6. That loss was the beginning of losing 2 out of 5, or winning only 2 out of 7 games, going 2-5 the last 7. But yes, the number one takeaway for me was Aaron Rodgers. Whether it was his best game or not, as a member of the Steelers, I don't know. But the mobility, the arm talent, the ability to strike quickly, even running for a touchdown, I thought he was fantastic in this game.
I 100% agree. And so, going into this game, the Ravens' pass defense was basically the best in the league against short passing game. And I still think Baltimore looked at the Steelers like they're going to do what they do. They're going to get it out of his hands. They're going to throw the ball at the line of scrimmage a bunch. And I love that the Steelers zagged. They just didn't do what they do. And they, okay, then we're going to push the ball down the field. And Boy, it worked well, and they converted.
It's a great way of looking at it, Matt. I went in with a healthy respect for their secondary.
Yeah.
It's super talented. I think Malachi Starks, who I don't remember being involved a whole lot yesterday, he looks to me, and I'm no scout, you're far better at this than I, but he looks to me like a future star.
Mm-hmm.
Alohi Gilman's a player. They brought him in. That brings Hamilton to the nickel back and different things you can do with him. You still have Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins. I mean, it's just a really, really talented group. And, going into the game, the vulnerability felt like, their run defense. And the run defense held up pretty well, but then the Steelers beat them with the long passing game. And I think you're right, the zigging and zagging thing, I think the Steelers have shown the capability to attack in different ways. I think what we haven't seen enough, and what I'm hoping that this game maybe starts to bring forward, is sort of both of those things together. Hey, we've thrown the ball and we've run the ball, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. And I don't think we've seen both those elements together, but it was good to see the passing game coming back and the deep ball coming back, and that's got to be something that's going to worry people, worry opponents moving forward here.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most encouraging parts of what we saw yesterday, certainly. And, like Matt and I were talking in the kind of the open of the show, Rob, if you would have told us all on Friday that the Ravens were going to rush for, about 220 yards and the Steelers were going to rush for less than 35, I don't think any of us would have thought that a victory was remotely possible. No. You got outgained on the ground by nearly 200 yards, by about 180 yards. But with what you were able to do in the pass game, I think winning that turnover margin, even though it's only +1, looms large once again. But to me, that was, I think we all, rightfully so, there's like this idea of how the script in our mind has to play out for the Steelers to win a game. And there was some of that yesterday, the red zone success on defense and some things like that. But I think overall, it played out a little bit differently than we all expected, leaning on that pass game, Aaron Rodgers turning back the clock a little bit, and what really felt like a onus on getting DK Metcalf the ball, getting DK Metcalf involved early and often.
Wes, I think it's been, and I've talked about this with people in Pittsburgh and people in other markets, when you go and you see people from other teams that are working in the media for other teams or what have you, that it's the most confounding year I can ever remember in the NFL. I don't understand it. I don't know. I think we've all said, well, we know who's bad, but we don't know who's good. Well, shoot. And then New Orleans goes and beats Tampa, who at one point this year was the number one power-ranked team in the NFL and looked like, early on, like they were a team to beat. And I also think, when you talk about a season early on versus later on, I'd rather be playing well late. And I'm hopeful that the Steelers team, that this can be a spark for them, because I'm not sure what the blueprint is other than the turnover game. Don't turn it over. When they haven't committed a turnover, they've won their last 9 games. We always talk about turnover culture and we think about it in terms of getting the ball. Well, part of that turnover culture is not turning the ball over. 9 straight games they've won in which they haven't turned the ball over. I don't know what it is, because we've seen them stop the run against Indianapolis and do a pretty good job against Chicago, do well for a half against the Ravens, do well for a half against Green Bay, and not well the second half. We've seen them run the ball effectively. We've seen them not run the ball effectively. We've seen them throw the ball with Aaron Rodgers, like you said, turn back the clock. He's looked incredible at times. There's been other times where the passing game has sputtered. Frankly, I don't know what to make. I think the NFL, I don't know what to make of the NFL in general, and the Steelers just have numbers that if I parsed out 6 numbers over here, you'd say, they're a 10-2 football team, or whatever, 10-3 football team. And then if I parsed out these numbers over here, you'd think they're a 3-10 team. It is. I don't know what to make of them. I do think that they've shown a lot of flashes, and I do think that I know that they're in first place in the AFC North after the win, and I'm hoping this is the kind of game that can maybe spark them to start putting a few more of those pieces together. We know that we know that nobody ever plays a perfect game. We're all waiting for the Steelers to play a perfect game. They played a perfect game, they'd win 140-0, right? It doesn't exist. The other team's playing too. But I'm hopeful that what we saw on Sunday is something that can unlock the more consistent positive elements of the Steelers that we've seen all season long.
Yeah, I think that's a really good conversation, is turnovers aside, as you laid out. I mean, we know how important that is to this team. I'm not sure what their real strengths are. I mean, like extreme strengths, other than I think a pass rush. But I also don't think there's any extreme weaknesses either. You know, like the run defense numbers the last 2 weeks are poor, but they were great the 3 weeks before that. You know, I mean, we've kind of called it whack-a-mole on our other show, you know, Rob, where
Right.
But part of me thinks that's also a positive. Like, it's not like, boy, if they shut down our run game, we have nothing else. I mean, they can play left-handed. Right. They can play a lot of different ways. But I also don't know what their bread and butter is.
Yeah, right. They're Inigo Montoya. They're also left-handed. Yeah, they can. Like, I don't know.
I don't think there's a question there. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to think that it shows you're capable of beating teams in a number of ways, and we could spend a week just talking about: do you want to have an identity on your team? Do you want your identity to be that you don't have a predictable identity? I don't know. I guess
kind of where I was going with it, Rob. Like in the last 5 years, there was only one path to victory: is limit the quarterback, have some splash. You know, at least now there's a lot of different avenues against high quality teams where they can win. And frankly, I think only the Bills game were they thoroughly outplayed.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers game, in my memory, stings a little bit. I'd have to go back and look at the numbers.
Steeler offense was pretty rough. Yeah.
Yeah. They did have, I think, a 3-2 lead at one point in that game. But you know, and we're all victims of recency bias. And you know, we've talked about this, Matt, many times, and Wes, I know I've had this conversation with you as well. That, you know, against top quality opponents, and I'm talking about Seattle, the Bills, the Bears, the Packers, you not only had the lead at halftime, but you got the ball to begin the second half, something that Mike Tomlin has traditionally been good at. Halftime adjustments, third quarter, here we go. And going into this third quarter this week, they were averaging 2.8 points per game in the third quarter, among the worst in the NFL. You'd think you'd win some of those games, wouldn't you?
Right.
They lost all 4 of them against top teams. And, you know, yet they do also have wins against New England and Indianapolis and now Baltimore. I mean, I'm truly mystified as to why it's gone this way, why certain elements of the team haven't been as good as I thought they were going to be, while some elements have been pretty darn good. So I think that right now, I don't know, you know, I would say Denver is, as you know, of course the Steelers beat the Patriots. Denver, the Patriots, their records are their records. Houston is coming on strong, and suddenly now becomes a team that looks like you don't want to play. But this is the time of the year to become that team that nobody wants to play. Like I said earlier, Tampa earlier on in the season was number 1 in the power rankings. They looked like the team nobody wanted to play. This was the team that was going to sweep through. Well, look at them now. They just lost to New Orleans at home, and they are hanging on for dear life to eke into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So this is a time of year you want to start playing well. I've used the puzzle analogy all along, which is that I feel like there's a bunch of puzzle pieces on the table that haven't quite seemed to fit for whatever reason. No matter what pieces I pick up, they don't fit right. And I don't know why, but I see that the puzzle pieces are there. I think they're there. Anyway, that's what I'm seeing. I'm not trying to speak for everybody. That's what it feels like to me. And maybe they're the team that puts those puzzle pieces together. And maybe they're the team that goes on a run. And maybe they're the team a month from now. People are saying, uh-oh, you got to go to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. I don't know, because, you know, listen, you were also 6-6 going into this game, so we know it can go the other way too. I'd like to think it's going to go the positive way. I hope this is the kind of game, the kind of emotional victory in which there were a lot of good signs, again, from this team. Maybe not the complete puzzle picture, but a lot of good signs. I'd like to think that maybe this is the kind of win that can spark them toward being that team that people are all of a sudden saying, that looks like a pretty good team they got there in Pittsburgh.
Hopefully that's the case. We were talking about, at the start of the show, Rob, like as much as, athletes seem like robots and cyborgs and a different species, like these guys are humans, they're emotional too. And yeah, a win like that, and certainly what that can do for your psyche, what that can do to, give you a springboard down the home stretch of the season here, I can't don't think can be understated as well.
Super quick, Rob, didn't mean to keep you longer, but and we're not going to talk to you next Monday. I know you're always way ahead of the game with advanced scouting.
Oh, on the plane on the way home yesterday,
I had a feeling.
He's got the Miami Dolphins depth chart out. The
Nice.
rest of us are eating ice cream and drinking Gatorade and watching TV, and he's perusing the Miami Dolphins depth chart.
But, Rob, I don't think Miami's a pushover anymore.
No. They've won 4 straight games.
Yeah.
And, another conversation, Wes, that Matt and I have had, because it kind of occurred to me more last night than any other time. A lot of times we say, it's when you play a team, right?
Sure.
Well, name me a team that the Steelers, when they've played them, that team hasn't given them their best. That team hasn't had a ton to play for. That team hasn't been
Patriots
a team to be reckoned with.
Patriots would maybe be the only one.
Yeah,
Right.
Maybe, but look what they've done. I think the Steelers are the last team to have beaten them, right?
Yeah, they are. But in terms
win.
of the way you framed it was that team didn't play their best. I mean, the Patriots had 5 turnovers that day. Was my kind of thought process in that
I'm
one.
not saying that they played their. I'm not saying they played their best in that game. I'm saying that when they came up on the schedule, there was a lot for that team to play for.
Gotcha.
The Ravens, obviously, but even
not
the Bengals,
week 3 against New England. Yeah.
We were kind of talking about you didn't get
knew-
Daniel Jones sidelined. You didn't get all these backup quarterbacks.
You didn't get like you did. Was it
right.
last year or 2 years ago or last year? I think it was right. Or whenever you opened with the Falcons, who had just Kirk Cousins hadn't played football in months.
Oh, right.
And then you got Bo Nix. You got Bo Nix in his second ever NFL start.
Right.
Like those go in your favor in back-to-back weeks.
You didn't get Browning. You got Flacco.
Exactly right.
Exactly.
It seems like this year, it's
been,
gone the opposite.
Yeah, it's been that kind of a schedule, and I think they're getting another tough test here. Now, if the Steelers wind up, even if they go 10-7, they're going to be able to look back at some quality victories against some quality opponents. And again, but it's so much, as you guys know, it's about how you're playing in the month of December and getting on that roll into the playoffs and getting, like you said, the human element, Wes, that sense of, hey, we are a team that you don't want to trifle with. I believe that a team that thinks they're good or has something to play for is a dangerous opponent. And to Matt's point, the Miami Dolphins, they still have a puncher's chance here. They've got a lot to play for. I mean, I try to always look at, as Matt does, the other teams, what is their perspective? Well, we think we can beat the Steelers. Then we have Cincinnati at home. Well, we think we can beat them at home. And we have Tampa at home. They're reeling. We might be able to go 9-7 going into a big game on the road to finish up the season. And, hey, 10-7 gets us in the playoffs. Now they're a team with a lot of belief. And I felt that way about Cincinnati. Cincinnati knew they had to win that game against the Steelers. I think the Dolphins are a dangerous opponent. Now, I don't know about Achane's health. He got banged out of yesterday's game. That'll obviously be a big-ticket item for him, although Jalen Wright came in and played a great game for him. But
I think Achane would have went back in if they needed to. He's going to. I would bet everything he has he's going to play. Yeah.
Okay, so he's okay, and so he's a handful, man.
Oh, man.
He is a handful. So, it's hey, man, it's December football, and after yesterday's win, it means more than ever.
I would have much rather played the Dolphins in week 3 than this upcoming week. I'll tell you that.
No doubt about it. Totally agree with you.
Hey, at least we did dodge Joe Burrow twice. We got that going for us at least.
True.
The great Rob King, the king in the castle. Rob King, what's your favorite Taylor Swift song before we let you go?
You just heard her today.
This guy tried telling. Here's the backstory for everybody. This Rob King guy.
I'm going to give you some deep thought. My favorite song is "Cruel Summer."
This Rob King guy claimed to us earlier that he didn't know who Taylor Swift was. I mean,
no. I never said that. I said I don't know any of her songs. That's not to say I actually watched a documentary on her. obviously I know who Taylor Swift is, and I applaud her great success. I've heard she's an extremely, writes her own music, very talented musician who plays several instruments. Those are the things I know about her. But there's lots of, they mentioned Toby Keith. Sorry, guy, I don't know any Toby Keith songs either. So, I'm going to go crawl back under my rock with my Dolphins roster and get on with the rest of my day.
If it's not Abbey Road, Rob King doesn't want anything to do with it. The voice of your Pittsburgh Steelers, the great Rob King, kind enough to take the time on a Monday. Kinger, thanks, dude. We'll talk to you soon.
You got it, guys. Thank you.
There he goes, Rob King. He's full of it. I mean, come on. Come on. This guy sends me music recommendations about twice a week on on Apple Music, and come on, he knows at least a Taylor Swift. Even if you don't know the title of it, you know the hum along.
You probably don't know you know it. That's the thing.
Good way to put it.
Yeah.
Very good way to put it. One more segment to go here in the first hour. On the other side, a crazy statistic from yesterday's game. And we do have to talk about some of those controversial moments as well.
Yeah.
We'll do all that and more as we roll along. Uhler, Williamson, it's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on The Drive here as we roll along on a Monday, recapping the Steelers' much-needed 27-22 win in Baltimore against the Ravens. Matt, I'm not sure you might have seen this already. It was making the rounds on Twitter last night, and you are the stats guy. But did you see the Steelers' run game getting outrushed by 170 yards, and historically what that's meant? Did you see this going around?
The 3 wins?
The World War II statistic?
Yeah, I did see that one, yes.
The Steelers have won 3 games since World War II where they were outrushed by 170 more yards. They've all been
World War II, right.
They've all been in the last 5 years against the Ravens. They've all been in Baltimore as well. 2020 in Baltimore, the Steelers were outrushed by 217 yards and still found a way to win that game. 183 yesterday, and then in 2021, the Steelers were outrushed by 170 yards and still won that game.
Yeah. That's nuts.
You can't get away with it too often, but when you can, it has to be in Baltimore against the Ravens.
This shows Steelers-Ravens is different than everything else.
It's weird, man.
It is. It's just a weird rivalry. It's a weird, immense knowledge of one another, obviously.
That's the big thing.
So a couple notes here. You mentioned, did I see it? I wasn't like actively finding things, but it's gotten to the point just this last week or two that my Twitter followers will be like, "Oh, Matt, you'll like this one."
Like it, yes.
Yeah, so now they're
Your
like
brand
setting me up. Right. I mean, just the last couple of weeks didn't used to be the case. Or like someone will state something and be like, "That's something Williamson would say."
Yep, that's something Matt would like.
I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I do like that. Good." I had a couple that were made aware to me, or this one was made aware to me also, which isn't as friendly, is the games that Harmon has played compared to the games he's not. There's about 100 rushing yards per game difference allowed by the Steelers defense. Now, do I think he's the best run defender that's ever walked the planet? No, but it's getting to be quite the trend. I know he's only missed 4 games, but still, they're allowing about 100 yards more in those games than when he's out there. And he was missed again. Why Black? Other than Cam, their defensive linemen are going backwards too much.
Yes.
In the run game.
In the run game.
Yes.
And I think, to grain of salt, those guys, there's a little square peg, round hole usage or deployment whenever they're down Derek Harmon.
Yeah.
You got to ask Benton to do some things that aren't exactly his greatest strengths. You got to ask Y.A. Black to do some things that aren't exactly his greatest strengths.
He might not be ready for yet. Yeah.
But that is also life in the National Football League.
Yeah, right.
That's also life in general.
Yeah.
When my daughters wake me up at 3 a.m, that's not something I'm built for.
It's not. You're right.
But it still happens.
All right.
When you're down Derek Harmon, it might not be something that you're built for, but it still happens. And
with all respect to Harmon, that's not like, I'm down Watt and Hayward. He's a piece of the puzzle, but he's not, the Mona Lisa. I mean, he's not the biggest piece of the puzzle.
It's I'm not down Jonathan Taylor to my offense.
Oh, the Rams own of Aaron Donald. I get it. Right.
Sure. Yes, I'm with you on that. It was, and I think what might have even added to that was, again, to just, I don't even know if it's giving him the benefit of the doubt. It's just reality. Keanu Benton on the first or second Ravens drive was dinged up.
Yeah.
Had to go to the sideline for a few plays.
Didn't look great right away.
Went into the blue tent, ended up coming back, so credit to him. But if you're already down Harmon, if then Benton is compromised and not, trying to play through something.
And Black had to move into nose tackle for a little. And, everybody's just kind of miscast a little bit there, right.
And in general, too, as we've discussed, the Steelers' defense and the snap counts and the time of possession and the
brutal
amount of football that Cam Hayward's played at this point in the season already and what you're kind of trying to do with him at his age and keep him fresh, and it all becomes more difficult, and it puts more stress and more onus on everybody. But you are right. It's starting to feel, speaking of Cam, I mean, I know you and Dale did, Moats and I did, everybody regurgitated the Steelers' defensive numbers last year in the run game when Cam Hayward was on the field and when he wasn't. In 2024, it was a night and day difference. They were like a top three.
First versus last, basically.
They were like a top 3 rush defense with Cam on the field. They were a bottom 3 or bottom 5 with him on the sideline. Yeah. And it's starting.
You don't want to be that reliant on one player, but it also shows his greatness.
Totally.
But that's why you draft Harmon, so you're not as reliant.
and you're right. And so in the same way, it's kind of like it's encouraging about Derek Harmon in a way.
Yeah.
Like, look at how important this guy is.
He's doing
as
some
a rookie.
good stuff, right? Like I wish I was Derek Harmon's agent. Be like, hey, what's 100 rushing yards per game worth to you? Like you make me a $50 million player, right?
It is impossible to ignore over these last couple weeks with his absence.
I mean, you can feel it, and again, he's not the best player in the league. He's not the best run stuffer in the league, but you can definitely feel it, especially in the Bills game, because the Bills game ran way more,
And so you're right. He might not be the best in the league, but he might be one of the most important, one of the most valuable.
Pretty important, right? And to me, that's encouraging for him. Maybe he's even back this week. I mean, he's only missed 2 games. They must not think he was going to miss 4.
And Queen's banged up, and Harrison exits the game early.
Yeah, he had some concussions in this game, too.
On both sides of the ball, but particularly on the Steelers side. Darnell Washington.
Yep.
I guess having an extra day this week is good in that regard.
Yeah, this late in the year, older guys.
As you and I often talk about, with concussion stuff now and that protocol, it's so hard, even with the extra day, to
Pierre
clear
did
it within a
week.
week.
Get it within a week this past week.
He did, but I feel like that's more rare now than what we typically see. But again,
100%.
That's all.
We can talk tomorrow.
We'll
about
talk later down the line and what Mike Tomlin has to say, and obviously we'll keep an eye on.
Looming.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on the practice reports and all that as we roll on throughout the week. The Baltimore Ravens are the first team since 2022 to lose a game after producing 200-plus rushing yards and allowing 50 or fewer rushing yards. Last team to do so, the 2022 Jags against the Colts. They got to be kicking themselves a little bit in Baltimore today.
I bet it's a tough Monday there.
If we're R&R, not rest and relaxation, Ravens Nation Radio, I think that we're kind of kicking ourselves and saying yesterday was a microcosm of this entire season.
To some degree. Yeah, like our star isn't quite the same, and that you can live with.
And we did a lot of good things, but we made just 1 or 2 crucial errors and moments that ended up costing us. And that's kind
of been red zone offense.
It's kind of been the case for Baltimore and all their losses this year.
And folks, all you people listening would be the same way, and I know you don't care, screw the Ravens. But you probably wouldn't be real thrilled with the ref situation if we were on R&R right now, too. Right. And if that's Freiermuth catching it instead of Likely, just put yourself in their shoes.
And it's Lamar Jackson throwing that interception that was overturned and line of scrimmage and who has possession and all those things. Those are the 2 big ones. And then I think even the personal foul on the field goal was...
That one I actually think was questioned. I think the Steelers...
A little 50-50.
The 2 big ones that you mentioned, I think that they made the right call. Maybe you don't like the rules, but those are the rules. The one on the field goal I thought was a bad call.
But, write this down, mark this down for the next time you feel like the Steelers are hard done by officiating, because it goes both ways.
It does.
Sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the 50-50 calls are split 50-50. Sometimes they're heavily slanted to one team. Mm-hmm. And again, though, despite all that, my goodness, Matt, we would have gotten 700 tweets about please crush the refs, please talk talk about how we got screwed, which I'm sure is happening
in Baltimore.
In Baltimore. The Ravens still had ample opportunities to win that game despite.
Absolutely.
That's just the way that things
They're moving
happen.
the ball kind of at will in the second half,
That's
Steelers are out there too much.
That's the way that things happen over the course of a 60-minute game. The calls at the end typically feel more weighted, but it is a long game with a lot of ebbs and flows, a lot of good calls, a lot of bad calls, plenty of missed stuff on both sides. But I do feel like it worked a little bit in the Steelers department in that regard yesterday. Let's start there. Let's go over some of those, give some thoughts, maybe what Gene Steratore had to say about these things from an NFL officiating perspective. All of that in hour number 2. We'll also go around the league and recap a really busy and important Week 14.
AFC's nuts.
Can we put the Kansas City Chiefs to bed? We'll talk about that in hour number 2 as well. Matt Williamson, Wes Uhler, halfway home here on a Victory Monday. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Good evening, Steeler Nation. How you doing? Well, that's good. Us too. Hour number 2 here of The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson with you as we continue to recap Steelers 27, Baltimore 22, and a much-needed win for your Pittsburgh Steelers. And it is funny, Matt, you're right. I mean, it would be a completely different show today for a lot of reasons if the Steelers would have lost that game. But one of them would have certainly been if some of those 50-50 call moments would have gone the other way. And so let's kind of go through them and chronologically, timeline-wise here and talk about...
Do my best to remember the specifics here.
Yes, yeah. So fortunately... I took more notes this game than usual.
Really?
We had a lighter broadcast booth, and so because of that, typically we have 6 people in the booth. There was only 4.
Okay.
And so Dan and I were kind of pulling double duty. Dan was helping spot and do stats. He kind of sat in between Rob and Max and helped them spot with, who's making the tackles, which running back's subbing in. When's Adam Thielen in the game? That's just kind of the job of the spotter.
Spotter stuff,
like Derrick
Who
Henry,
made the tackle?
Derrick Henry checks out, and I point to the depth chart for Rob to whichever running back the Ravens put it.
It's Mitchell. It's not Ali.
Exactly right. The first play of the game, I'm pointing at Adam Thielen on his card because hey, he's in there. First play of the game, 16's in. MVS comes in for the first time. Just stuff like
It's hard to keep track of.
Basic stuff like that when you're Rob King and you're tunnel vision on calling the game. And all of a sudden it's a different running back. All of a sudden, who made that tackle? It's tough to tell. And I could see clearly that it was Brandon Eccles, things like that. So Dan's kind of sitting in between Max and Rob. He's doing stats and helping spot. I'm sitting on Rob's left. So it's like me, Rob, Dan, Max in the booth. And I'm kind of helping Rob spot and just keeping an eye and, helping as I can. Because of that, because I was doing more than I typically do on a game day.
You had a lot on your plate,
I took more notes because I was just like, what if I don't remember all the details? What if I forget? I'm doing a little bit more. Let's make sure I'm keeping everything in chronological order and the timeline and everything here. So here's how it played out. Second quarter was the first one. Steelers are up 10-3 and they're driving. They stall out at the 6-yard line. I have in my notes here. Pardon me. Steelers stall out, kick a field goal from the 6-yard line. That pushes their lead to 10-3. Okay. So that was in the second quarter. Steelers are up 7-3. They drive. They stall at the 6-yard line, kick a field goal. They're up 10-3. Next possession, was the James Pierre interception.
Nice. Yeah.
That
played really well.
Set the Steelers up with good field position. And I have in my notes here, another red zone field goal, 13-3. Wait. Penalty, personal foul. You can't touch Christian Kuntz. One play later, Kenneth Gainwell finds the end zone. Instead of 13-3, it's now 17-3.
I thought that was a little ticky-tacky at the time.
I thought that was a little ticky-tacky because it was almost like he was making contact with whoever was beside Kuntz.
Yes.
And just kind of throughout the nature of the play ended up bumping into him. So I don't know. I get it. Those guys are a protected species, the long snappers in that scenario. But is it like you literally can't touch them at all, or the car alarm goes off, or you just can't make
I think sometimes it's just these are
them.
football players, and you're going to get bounced around, and they're 250 pounds, and I don't know. I mean, maybe the letter of the law, it was a flag, but I even think whoever the ref on the air was like, I don't think I would throw in that one, and I agreed.
Okay.
I mean, to that one, to me, was they kind of missed that call. Most of them I think they got right in the end.
I thought it was a little ticky-tacky.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was an egregious call.
No.
I didn't think it was 100% they got it right. I just thought it's a little ticky. In a game like this.
A game like this on the 6-yard line or whatever, too. I mean, that's a big swing.
If I'm going to hand the team the ball back in a goal-to-go situation.
First down, right.
It better be a pretty clear-cut, egregious, I have to throw a flag on that.
Yeah.
But it ends up working in the Steelers' favor.
It did.
So instead of 13-3, they make the lead 17-3. The Ravens respond and score a touchdown, but they miss the extra point, so 17-9. Big drive for the Ravens to make it a one-score game before the half, but it was also a big moment for me personally because if the Steelers don't end up converting a touchdown with Kenneth Gainwell and it's 13-3, then the Ravens score that touchdown, they miss the extra point, and it's 13-9, and I get you and 700 other people texting me,
oh, yes.
13-9, 13-9, 13-9, 13-9. So thanks to the referee in that moment
worked out well,
for making sure that didn't happen. That worked out very well for me. Chris Carter would have probably ran down from the press box to tap me on the shoulder just to tell me 13-9 here. So that was the first one. That was towards the back half of the second quarter.
Okay.
Because the Ravens had one more drive to go down to the field to score that touchdown, make it a one-score game before the half. The other two moments both happened in the fourth quarter. So in the fourth quarter, Ravens kick a field goal to make it 27-19 to make it a one-score game for the Steelers once again. Steelers, I can't remember if they went 3 and out or got one first down, but they end up punting back to Baltimore. Baltimore drives and kicks another field goal to make it 27-22. So two early.
This is where I'm starting to worry, by the way.
Same here.
Offense is stalling. It seems like the Ravens offense is moving the ball too easily. Yeah.
Same here. Hey, at that point you've scored some points in the second half, right? You've scored 10 points in the second half, so it's not like you've been completely inept.
No, right.
It just felt like the momentum's moving in the other direction. There's a lot of time left here for Baltimore.
And Steelers defense have played too many plays, and I've seen this story before. And
the offense was humming for a while, but now they're struggling.
Lamar seemed like he was getting a little more comfortable.
Getting a little more comfortable.
Right,
the crowd, which had been relatively for a Ravens crowd,
they sound kind of harsh on the Ravens. Per the broadcast. You don't hear many boos in that building.
The first half, they were rough on the team. Third quarter, when the Steelers went up 27-16 in the third quarter.
It sounded like,
ooh.
Yeah,
there were
uncommon.
Not a lot, but there were a few Ravens fans that got up and left at that point.
Really?
Not a lot, but maybe 1,000 or 2.
But that place was not happy.
The vibes were low, as they might say.
Okay.
But they kicked back-to-back field goals in quick succession, make it a one-score, one-possession game again, and that place is starting to come alive a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Aaron throws the interception on the deflected pass, sets the Steelers up in sets the Ravens up, in Steelers territory, and that place went from
it's
angry and hostile to celebrate. I mean, you know what I mean? To you know how that works. You've been in those stadiums. Everybody's been in those stadiums in that moment where it turns
boom.
Fast as you can imagine.
A lightning strike, yeah.
And it was oh my goodness, this place is alive. The Steelers are falling apart. We're all
and at that point, I'm I think the Steelers are going to lose.
And I'm in my mind thinking, and I said this to Max when we were in commercial break, kind of waiting for everything to play out. I'm like, that's our luck right there in a nutshell. If Aaron Rodgers has a healthy left wrist, he probably is able to hold on to that ball. But he's got a compromised left wrist. I'm like, that's the inches, that's the minutia, that's the margins of victory right there.
3 weeks ago, it's better than, right.
And then they review it and they overturn it. And hey, you still go 3 and out, back-to-back 3 and outs there and punt the ball back.
Right, you're not eating any clock.
But the field position difference is massive.
It's massive. Yeah, it's probably points. Real quick on that play.
I didn't think that was a terrible call, but again, I didn't think it was an absolute slam dunk. Oh, that's the right call either.
I thought it was the right call. Initially, I did not. Same with the likely touchdown, by the way.
Because remember, it had to be overturned.
Right.
So which means you need conclusive evidence.
When you watch it again, it's pretty clear he's possessing the ball with a knee on the ground, which is total fluky. And I bet Rodgers would even tell you, especially with his compromised left hand, bat that thing to the ground. I'm not sure why he tried to catch it, first of all, amongst the trees and all these people trying to take your head off. So I don't think that was a good decision by him of what do I do after the bat comes back at me. It's just swat that thing to Nowheresville. Because what's the chances you're going to catch it and make a play? I mean, slim and none, next to nothing. Yeah. But frankly, I think the Steelers got lucky because he happened to catch it with a knee on the ground.
Yes.
I mean, it was down to like the millisecond.
That's a good way to way to put it.
Yeah. I mean, he got kind of lucky. It wasn't like it was a good play. But I think that was the right call after watching it over and over. They showed it a million times.
Yeah. Again, that's one to me that in the moment I thought they're just going to say inconclusive evidence.
Oh, I didn't think it would get overturned.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, that's a lot to overturn, but it's pretty clear.
So even at that point, but
things aren't going well at this point.
Things are still not going well. That's your second of back-to-back 3-and-outs.
Yes.
Again, the field position is a massive difference.
Huge.
Massive, huge difference, but you still end up punting the ball back to them. And at that point,
you're not eating any clock at this point, and they're running a lot of plays.
And at that point, the crowd was alive and pissed.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Because they feel like we just got hard done. And the Ravens...
Bunch of beers in, it's late.
That was the Ravens' 5th possession of the second half at that point. They had gone touchdown, field goal.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the Ravens. That was Baltimore's 5th possession of the second half. They had gone touchdown, field goal.
They were playing better than the Steelers.
They're playing better still.
Right, yeah.
And the crowd is upset that they didn't get that call, but they still think we got this. And now they're kind of upset and even more into it in a weird way.
And they hate the Steelers more than anybody. It's not like that's the Bears in town or something.
They knew how big of a game it was as well. They get a big 4th down conversion. Huge play to Zay Flowers on 3rd and long.
Huge.
They're rolling. Isaiah Likely touchdown.
Yeah.
Ravens take the lead. Oh, no, here we go. But Peasy at the end, he knocks it out there, stays with the play. And it ends up, again, they go to review it, and it gets overturned. The original call on the field gets overturned. And then you get and what was the moment of the game, not just overturned there, but then Patrick Queen breaks up the pass at the goal line to get you your first stop of the second half in that moment. And then
so the turn of events it's not like they scored the next play and nobody cares, right? Yeah,
exactly right. Like, so the Aaron interception one is a little different because at least you end up punting them the ball back.
Yeah.
It's a big field position discrepancy,
but it wasn't clearly 7 points.
It wasn't clearly taking a touchdown off the board,
right?
And then full credit to Patrick Queen on that next play, and he made some
who was
checks,
playing injured and
played out of his mind.
Game,
played probably his best game of the season as well. Not just number 8 for the Steelers playing his best, but I think number 6 in that moment, need it on the road against his old team, clearly not 100% healthy.
Clearly not 100%.
And he makes the check there in that play and breaks up the pass at the goal line. Hey, you still had a quick 3-and-out after that, and the Ravens had another opportunity. But Matt, that one is again, I don't think it's completely the right call. I don't think it's completely the wrong call.
Yeah.
I think I'm just surprised that they overturned it in that moment.
I'm surprised they overturned it.
And I don't think that's egregious either. I don't think it's terrible that they overturned it. I was just surprised that they did so.
So I would preface this by saying if that was Freiermuth and not Likely, I'd be pretty upset and be like, what on earth are we doing
I'd be livid. I'd be like, this is Jesse James all over again. We're getting screwed here.
And maybe the NFL even needs to inspect this, because that looks like a touchdown. It smells like a touchdown. It walks like a duck. It tucks like a duck. You know what I mean? Like,
but we've been doing this with what's a catch and what's not a catch for 12 years now.
And I was thinking the end zone, all you got to do is just break the plane. Rules are different in the end zone.
Yeah.
But apparently they aren't in that instance. You do have to complete the catch. And I hate that the league's gotten to this extreme, but when you break it down frame by frame, I think it's the right call. I don't know if it's enough to overturn, but
that's
you know
what
I mean.
Too.
But I think it's the right call. We can argue about the rules. Are the rules
and Gene
too in
Steratore
depth?
thought it was the right call.
The Pursuta said on the morning show he was like,
it's just because he's a Western Pennsylvania homer.
Well, maybe, yeah. And again, it's the birdies. But that was a huge one. I don't think the Ravens got screwed. You know what I mean? It's not like, man, what a terrible call.
I think it's
but
fair
I'm shocked it went that way.
I think it's fair to say we were a little unfortunate in that department. If we're Baltimore, we're Baltimore Nation
Steelers
radio
were
today,
a little fortunate, yeah.
I think I'd be saying, hey, 2 50-50 calls there in the fourth quarter, neither went your way, but you still forced a quick 3-and-out, had plenty of time, got the ball back, and could have won the game. Mm-hmm. You still had the 4th down play, Patrick Queen stop at the goal line.
Yeah.
And so I so infrequently think that the referees really decide a game.
I tend to agree. Right. Especially in today's day and age when you can buzz down and
even that. Right. You remember the most famous of all of them, that 2017 NFC Championship game in New Orleans against the Rams, where there was that call so bad that my dog Oli at home, who can barely see, is like blind in one eye and can barely see out of the other eye, could have made that pass interference call in the Superdome in the NFC Championship game. It doesn't get called. The game ends up going to overtime. The Rams win. The Saints,
get eliminated. Yeah.
Saints get eliminated and act like a bunch of babies the entire offseason and throw a parade in New Orleans where they're all dressing up as blind refs and all that controversy. What no one talks about is that when the game went to overtime, the Saints won the coin toss and had the ball first.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you were eliminated.
And these were still the old overtime rules.
Just had to
so
score.
All the Saints had to do was get a couple first downs and kick a field goal, and you still win the game.
Yeah.
What no one talks about is the Saints had a 10-point lead in the fourth to open the fourth quarter in that game. Yeah. They just hyper focus on the one terrible call,
which was a terrible call,
but not how New Orleans still had ample opportunities to win that game.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's kind of where I come down on this.
And the Ravens still could have won this game.
The Ravens still could have won this game, but I will also preface it or just follow it up or wrap it up by saying, yeah, I'd be a little ticked off if the shoe was on the other
foot. Our
foot.
Tone would be different if those two calls went different, I have a feeling. Now, I don't know 100% the Steelers would have lost, but their chances would have greatly diminished the win.
Would have swung the other way big time.
Big time. Because, again, the second half, I thought the Ravens were the better team. For the game, I thought the Steelers were the better team. And the right team won. But I understand where the Ravens are coming from.
Oh, man. Not only some controversy and some important results at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, but across the entire National Football League. Let's run the gambit when we get back here on the other side as we now have a clear playoff picture and plenty to discuss from all of yesterday's action. We'll do that when we return. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on The Drive here on a Monday as that road is getting narrower and narrower, Matt Williamson. Let's start. We'll go chronological order and kind of run the gambit here of a massive Sunday around the NFL, a huge Week 14 that saw some rise and some fall, and playoff pictures starting to get a little bit clearer, but still plenty to play for. In Atlanta, Matt, not a lot of surprise here. The Seahawks cruise to a comfortable victory over the Falcons, 37-9. To continue to prove that they're one of the best teams in the NFL, and that every time they play an East Coast 1 o'clock game, you should take them to win.
No problem.
No questions asked. A lot of things.
We don't have to spend a lot of time on that one, but the first, it started out pretty back and forth and pretty even, and then they just put the hammer down.
JSN's a monster.
He's a monster.
Bijan Robinson ran for 86 of the more impressive yards I've seen in my life.
I mean, fighting for him.
He was He ran. He had like 4-point-something yards per carry. It's like the most impressive 4.1 yards per carry you've ever seen in your life. My goodness.
Seattle's D is really good.
And I think the only thing for Seattle that was going to hold them back from being a real bona fide, not Super Bowl contender, but Super Bowl favorite, was the form of Sam Darnold, which had been a little down for a few weeks. He looked more like himself. 20 of 30, 250 passing, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. So the Seattle's in a really good spot right now.
They certainly are. I went to the grocery store this morning. I was wearing, my Steelers gear on the way in here. Some guy was like, hey, a big win for the Steelers yesterday. One of the guys working. We start chatting, and he's like, I'm a Seahawks fan. He goes, but I really love DK Metcalf. He goes, I'm from Washington. I moved out here 7 or 8 years ago. I really still love DK Metcalf. I was excited to see him have a big game yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was like, how about JSN, huh? He was like, dude, oh my goodness, he's unbelievable. Big
easy
one.
Guy to root for,
Big one for the Seahawks, and they are certainly one of the favorites here as we get closer and closer to the postseason. A crazy one, Matt, in the snow, in the weather, high scoring up in Buffalo at Orchard Park.
Snow didn't slow them down at all.
39-34, the Bills come back 21 fourth quarter points to come back and beat the Bengals. This was one of those, if you're 31 NFL teams, it was a lot of fun to watch. If you're the Bengals, you're kicking yourself because it's the story of what has happened all season. Mm-hmm. But man, quarterback masterclass from both teams.
I would say it was like Ollie Frazier quarterback play.
And again, like in that weather, that type of environment, just a lot of fun to watch from a neutral perspective. And Buffalo hangs on and gets it done.
Yeah, they made a huge defensive score, which was probably the difference in the game. Allen was as good as I've ever seen him, but Burrow wasn't any worse, and they got Higgins back and Chase back, and I guess the bottom line is the Bengals are done. The
Bengals are now done.
It'd be nice if I assume they'll still play hard, and maybe they can knock off the Ravens. Buffalo's doing some good things at the right time too. Maybe they're the best team in the AFC all of a sudden, which should shock no one.
No.
But that was a crazy game.
Crazy game, and a lot of fun in that classic Orchard Park snowy environment up there in New York. In Cleveland, a surprising one here, Matt, as the Titans, strong second half to take down the Browns 31-29. Shedeur Sanders played pretty well.
They played real well.
Myles Garrett got another sack to inch closer and closer to Strahan and TJ's record. And, in a weird way, if you're the Browns or maybe a Browns fan, maybe this isn't the worst result ever because just pushes you up the draft order a little bit. But another fun one between these two. It was actually a pretty good football game. It wasn't 14-10, ugly, someone has to win type game.
I mean, this was super low over-under, I think.
Super low. It was the low 36. Like the Titans almost hit it themselves.
Yeah.
It's like 35.5, 36.5. A fun back-and-forth game between two of the worst teams in the National Football League.
But if this was week one, it'd be like, oh, these two rookie quarterbacks are fun, and maybe these teams are better than we thought.
Something to build on here.
Right, yeah. The headlines, though, are Titans no longer have the first overall pick.
Right.
That now goes to the Giants, who just sat at home and did nothing and now owns number one, neither of which would probably take a quarterback. And Shedeur, he was announced that he's going to be the starter the rest of the year. That's not surprising, but he took a big step forward.
We want that to continue as Steelers fans.
I think so, yeah.
One less team in front of you who's going to be in the quarterback
That
market.
would be wonderful. And maybe Shuck even did it with the Saints
we're going to get to that in just a minute, and that was one of the more surprising results of the weekend. But the most lopsided result of the weekend, Matt, was in Minnesota, where the Vikings...
Wow. Maybe they're out. I mean, again, maybe McCarthy can put a couple weeks together here to get out of the quarterback market for one more year.
Put down the Commanders 31-0. Somehow,
this was some ineptitude by Washington, too.
Incredible. Somehow...
Daniels got hurt
Justin
again.
Jefferson only had 2 receptions for 11 yards, and how do they score 31 points on you when that happens? But, yeah, the big story of this is Jaden Daniels getting hurt again.
It was his bad arm that he went down
his
arm.
His same left elbow.
And, I mean, there's some Monday morning quarterbacking hindsight here, but should he really have been out there? If all he had to do – I mean, I think he just braced himself on his bad arm, and then he's out. If that was all it took, should he have been out there?
Probably not.
But they're not in a good spot right now. They're not beating anybody.
No, they are not, and they might be in that top pick conversation here before it's all said and done. Dolphins go to MetLife and continue to look impressive, continue to win, continue to put up numbers on offense. 34-10, they trounce the Jets, the Steelers' next opponent. Matt, playing as well as they have all season, certainly, and in one of the best forms of any team in the National Football League right now.
Yeah, they've turned things around. So they fired their GM, and I'm not sure if that's why it happened because he doesn't influence,
he's not calling plays or making
things
tackles.
Like that. But they've been 4-0 since. They beat the Bills, and then they've had 3 bad opponents that they've beat. But they become very run-centric. They're taking a lot off Tua's plate. Both lines of scrimmage are playing a lot better. They're making a lot fewer errors. And frankly, what happened here is it Chan's like their entire offense.
Yes.
And
he's been
gets
outstanding.
Hurt. He's been outstanding. He got hurt early in the second quarter. He was like the driving force of my fantasy team. But this is important because they're coming to town Monday. The head coach said after the game he probably could have went back in. But at that point, I think they were winning like 21-0 or 24-0.
I think it was 24-7 maybe at that point.
Yeah, that's probably right. And at that point, Tyrod Taylor was knocked out of the game. Fields was inactive. And some dude named Cook that I'd never heard of was the quarterback. So, like, they were in no jeopardy
They were like,
whatsoever.
we're good. We can see this thing out.
And they just ran the ball down their throat. Chan might have had 300 yards if he had started and finished the game.
You and Rob King both lamenting his absence potentially for your fantasy teams at
got
a
something out of him.
Clear spot and clear time in the year.
But he had like 100 yards on 7 carries or something. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Matt, if Vikings Commanders was the most lopsided result of the weekend, I think the most surprising result of the weekend might have been the Saints going to Tampa Bay and beating the Buccaneers 24-20.
I didn't pay a ton of attention to this one, but Shuck made some plays with his legs. I think he had 2 rushing touchdowns. Both were long. I don't know exactly what plagued the Bucs, why this was as close as it was, but they can't quite put it together lately. And they're getting guys back. I keep thinking they're going to run away with the division, and they're just not.
No, they aren't. And Carolina's sitting at home liking what they're seeing.
Those teams that are bye are happy, man.
Now that's going to be a wild race down the stretch when I think a lot of us we were penciling the Buccaneers in as division champs back in October.
I know, yeah.
And now they might not even make the playoffs. The Jags comfortably in a big one between the Colts. They take care of business, 36-19. And Daniel Jones looks like he's done for the rest of the year. Are the Colts now on life support for their playoff hopes?
I think so. This was a big rain monsoon type of game. Lawrence is playing
classic Florida weather.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Lawrence might be playing the best of his career. Really since Jacoby Myers showed up there. Young coach is getting them on track. A lot of ATN, balance, good defense. The Colts are in a really bad spot now. Richardson's done for the year.
Impossible.
Jones is done for the year. They've lost 3 in a row to good teams coming out of their bye, and they may lose out.
I feel for Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
He was in a good place to kind of reset his
no
career.
Contact.
And,
I don't know if you saw the injury, too.
Yeah.
It was just, it was his bad leg. The Achilles went. It's almost like Jaden Daniels. Should he have been out there at all, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Easy to say in hindsight.
But they're in the playoff run, at least.
But
Washington is.
Right. But now for the Colts, man, it is amazing how quick this league can turn.
Yeah. I don't project them to go to the playoffs.
Right now, I would bet against it. I'd say the Jags and the Texans.
Yeah. They're way better teams than what the Colts are. Right?
I think that's undeniable. Broncos go to Vegas, a little bit closer than everybody thought it was going to be, although the Raiders kick a last-second field goal to make it a 1-score game instead of a 2.
It was never really competitive. The score doesn't show it.
24-17. The Broncos continue to roll, 11-2.
This was a really pathetic performance, actually, by the Raiders in terms of, effort and, making reservations for
Cancun on 3, baby.
Yeah, exactly. They're done.
Old Kenny Pickett got into the game for a brief moment.
Yeah, he threw a late touchdown that didn't matter much.
Hey,
that kind of stuff.
Hey, he's done that a few times.
It's actually a very nice throw.
It was. It was a really nice throw, actually. Packers, Bears.
Huge game.
And a crucial turnover at the end cost Chicago. Bears get it done 28-21. To get a half-game advantage on the Bears now in the NFC North.
We described them as this when the Steelers played these 2 teams, 2 big game hunters at the quarterback position, chucking and playing aggressive as could be. I think Green Bay is really starting to figure out their skill guys. Watson's the one. Reed came back. They didn't even really need to use Dobbs. So they're in a pretty good spot. I think Green Bay's the best team in that division and a true Super Bowl contender. But Chicago hung with them. For where they're at as an organization.
Still great.
Yeah,
I'm still picking them to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I am too. I
know their schedule's a little tough down the stretch here, but I think if they just get one more.
It's a super successful season for Chicago.
Without a
super
doubt.
Successful.
Even if you go 1-3 in these last 4 games and finish 10-7, that's still, they would have all signed for that in blood.
Yes.
You go 2-2 and you finish 11-6.
They
come on,
hard. They battled.
Who saw that coming?
Exactly.
And guess what? 13 days from now, you get the Bears at Soldier Field. Maybe you can return. Maybe you can return the favor
win that game
and win a close one. But yeah, I really like the Packers. And man, if they still had Tucker Kraft, they might be my Super Bowl favorite now. That's going to be a big loss for them, but they've got some really nice pieces coming together at the right time.
Picking them to go to the Super Bowl does not sound far-fetched at all. I like the Rams in Seattle.
I was just going to say it doesn't sound far-fetched, but Seattle's tough, and we know the Rams are tough. They bounced back after a close loss
they slipped
to Carolina.
up a little, but
But hey, Carolina's
not
the division
terrible,
leader right
yeah.
now. Rams go into Arizona. They handle business against a Cardinals team that is very much Cancun on 3 in their own right.
Yeah, they had some garbage time stuff too.
45-17, the Rams get it done. Matthew Stafford, MVP.
I think both their running backs went over 100 yards, controlled things on the ground, didn't have to put the ball in harm's way very much.
Nakua, Offensive Player of the Year.
Playing great, and Arizona's in trouble. I mean, they just keep losing and losing and losing.
They have lost 9. Sorry, they've lost 10 of their last 11.
Okay.
After starting 2-0,
yeah,
they are now 3-10.
And going to be big changes.
Going to be massive changes.
And they're shutting everybody down. Benson and Murray and Nolan.
I think they're going to be in the quarterback market when April rolls around.
Yeah.
And finally, Matt, along with Steelers-Ravens, along with Bears-Packers, one of those 3 games that we really highlighted on Friday that had massive playoff implications. The Houston Texans get it done. They go to Kansas City, a defensive masterclass, picked off Mahomes 3 times.
Yeah.
En route to a 20-10 victory.
So Kansas City's in trouble.
They're done.
I don't think they're done.
They're done.
We'll talk about this throughout the week when we start on like playoff projections and stuff.
TV shaking its head.
I think they could.
I've been saying they're done for 4 or 5 weeks, and everybody mean tweets me, and it's like you're gonna jinx it. And
I'm predicting them to win out and get 10 wins, and then come to Pittsburgh in week 1. Great. Here comes Mahomes.
let's go. Let's say
I know
that
there's like
out.
tiebreakers and stuff like that.
Who do they have the tiebreaker against?
Well, I think if
they don't have it against Jacksonville, they don't have it against Houston.
Well, I think here's my thoughts.
They could still get it against LA, but that's
they play the Chargers next week, and I think the Chargers when we come in tomorrow, or we're going to be like, oh, the Chargers are in trouble. They're not in Colts level trouble.
The Eagles are going to.
I just think the O-line and an injured Herbert. I could see. I know the Colts are going to fall off. I suspect the Chargers are going to fall off, and the Chiefs could win these last 4 and at least make it very interesting. I thought that was a really, really good football game, though. Awesome defenses.
They
didn't have any offensive tackles. I mean, Kelsey's dropping balls, Rice is dropping balls, and Mahomes a one-man show.
I feel like sometimes this is like Pepsi or Coke for people.
Yeah.
Like you got to love one and hate the other. I like both Pepsi and Coke. I know a lot of people don't. I love the juxtaposition of like a game like Bills and Bengals that's 39-36 and a back and forth quarterback offensive duel in a game like this that was good defense, physical, battle for every inch. Yeah. Both of those are great football games to me.
They were. And it was a very desperate Chiefs team, especially coming out of halftime. Chris Jones just took the game over. He's just throwing offensive linemen around.
He's unbelievable.
And when he turns it on, he's as good as you'll ever see. And they just didn't have quite enough. You know, a couple drops. Skills guys let them down a little bit. And they're definitely in a real bind. I think Houston's the best team in the AFC. I actually said that a week or 2 ago.
You did?
I love how they're rolling along. Stroud's playing well.
The Chiefs have lost 4 of their last 5.
Yeah.
I mean, Mahomes was their leading rusher. They just got nothing going on.
He's got one. I mean, his one knee's really bad.
They got nothing going on the ground. They host LA, then they go.
I can't believe they can't find a running back. I mean, that's the easiest position in the world to get.
It's unbelievable. They host LA, then they go to Tennessee, then they host Denver, then they go to Vegas. All right, so they'll win at Tennessee and they'll win at Vegas.
But but I don't think 4-0 is crazy.
Then
it gets interesting.
They host the Broncos Christmas night.
That could be what the season depends on.
They might be out. Denver's still going to be playing for the 1 seed at that point with neck and neck with New England.
I just know tiebreakers don't favor them. I get that part, but I don't have faith in the Chargers, and I have no faith in the Colts.
Sometimes I like to bust out my tiny violin for the holiday schedule and all those things. That's back-to-back Christmas Day games for Kansas City. That's rough. That's rough.
Yeah.
Listen, I understand you take it with all the success that they've had, but if I was a Chiefs employee in 2 straight years, I gotta work all day Christmas
and Thanksgiving.
I would not be thrilled.
Yeah.
You better listen. I better get time and a half on those days.
They might even play like New Year's or something too. I mean, like especially with Taylor Swift around now, they are the biggest draw in the world. They're never going to get away from those type of games.
Sorry, Kansas City employees, but you know what though? If the Steelers
you get playoff checks,
if the Steelers wanted to go to 5 of the next 7 Super Bowls and win 3 of them, I might put up with it.
Put some rings on your finger and playoff checks. Yeah.
Matt, let's take a break here. Close down with final thoughts on the other side. Maybe a quick prediction for tonight's Monday Night Football before we get up out of here. Uhler, Williamson, it's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Final segment here on a Victory Monday. Man, it's good to get back in the win column, Matt. I'll just say that. It's been a little... It's a
huge.
cheerier around here.
Yes.
Than the last couple of Mondays. That's for sure. Like Moats used to make a joke. Like when the Steelers lose on Mondays, my coffee tastes terrible. The sun sun doesn't shine. Nobody lets me merge in traffic.
Everything's just a little harder.
Everyone cuts me in line at the he would have like a spiel of like, my coffee was cold, my whatever. My driveway was icy. Nobody let me merge in traffic. Mm-hmm. When the Steelers win, there's donuts and pizza everywhere. There's sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
Everyone's friendly in traffic. Go ahead, cut me off. I'm in no hurry to be anywhere.
I'm sure there's other cities like that, but the city's definitely much different on Monday, win or loss, or tone of the team.
Whenever, we get a lot of these on the Steelers audio network. In fact, a vast majority of our listeners here are not from Western Pennsylvania.
Oh, right.
I've always said that. Like, I don't think sometimes people can do the Civil War thing where they're like, I'm a Steelers fan who's from Pittsburgh, as opposed to the Steelers fan who's from California and their grandpa was from Pennsylvania and they, that type of thing. I don't think there's any like, you go to games, you don't go to games. You live in Pittsburgh, you don't live in Pittsburgh. Everyone's a Steeler fan.
Right.
But the one thing that you can't relate to unless you live here is how different
the city is. Right.
Yes,
right.
that is that is one thing.
The supermarket line.
That's
giant eagle.
That is one thing that you cannot feel from Texas or North Carolina or California or Michigan or wherever unless you're here in Western Pennsylvania on the Monday after a game.
Even with the world getting smaller. And,
I don't want to hear it. No. That's the one thing, though, that I don't want to hear. And yes, it is much more cheerful here today, as the Steelers take care of business, and now we get I guess we get a Saturday.
They're in a good spot.
We get a Saturday and Sunday to kind of breathe and enjoy it before a big Monday. You're in a good spot, but you got a big Monday night game against the Dolphins.
That's a big thing. Pursuta was saying in our earlier show. He's like, okay, but what do you do with it? Like I knew you were going to get up for Ravens, and I knew you were going to play a physical game.
Totally.
That implies that some games they don't give effort. That's not what I mean, but don't wash it all away by losing to either the Browns or Miami. You know what I mean? And we'll see. And we'll preview Miami a lot as the week goes on. They're an interesting team. I did want to touch one thing with you, though. It sounds like the Vittles in Baltimore Stadium are pretty tasty. They got pretty good layout there.
This is what
I know
Matt
the crab
wanted.
Cakes, but you guys teased me a little bit.
We didn't get crab cakes this time, actually.
Oh, really? I thought that was an always thing. Okay.
It's a good thing the Steelers won because post-game I was waiting for my Jimmy's Seafood, and instead it was catered barbecue, which is fine, don't get me wrong.
It's not what you expected.
It's not what I expected, and I think you and I have had this conversation before. I might go a little snob here for you for a minute. It's like the Italian guy who talks about how he can't go out to eat anywhere.
Right.
But 5 years ago, during the start of COVID,
egg noodles and ketchup.
During the start of COVID, how do you like your garlic bread? During the start of COVID, my wife and I had this big trip to Chicago planned, and it ended up everything got canceled. We were going to go to a Cubs game. We were going to go to a concert. We had hotel reservations. Yeah. Everything got canceled. So a bunch of the money that we had put down already, we got refunded. So I got refunded like a bunch of money. And I was like, sweetheart, I'm going and buying a nice smoker. I was like, because we're not going to be doing anything for the foreseeable future.
Good COVID.
I'm going to lose my mind. Am I going to? I'm going to sit outside on the patio and drink beers and learn how to smoke meats. That's what I'm going to do with all this free time.
Seems like a good thing to do. We're going to be home.
Now that we're not doing anything.
And we'll eat well.
And so now, fast forward, it's been 5-6 summers of me having a smoker. I think I'm pretty good.
Okay.
I
might have to pick your brain. I would like to learn.
I think brisket is still the only thing that I think like a smokehouse can. Brisket's very difficult.
Oh, really?
Anything else? Pulled pork, ribs, chicken, wings, salmon. You name it.
You can hang with anyway.
And so I'm not gung ho about getting barbecue catered because I think the stuff that I make myself at home is better.
And especially if you're looking forward to seafood.
Especially if I'm looking forward to Baltimore crab cakes.
Right.
You ever seen Wedding Crashers? Crab cakes in football. That's what Maryland
they do,
does.
Right. I thought it was there every time.
It was disappointing, but maybe they did
I heard
that.
The drink dispensaries though were pretty nice.
Maybe they were going to give us crab cakes, but then we won, and they were like, "Give these guys pulled pork." I tell you what, though, the spread in the press box was very good. But what was the most impressive part about it was they had a million different ways to get your coffee and your caffeine and your electrolytes. They had a traditional coffee machine that was just 2 buttons, real easy, regular decaf, whatever you want. Boom, grab and go. They had a nitro cold brew tap, which you would have loved. That's right up your alley. Mm-hmm. Then they had like a special fancy foo-foo drink maker where like you put your cup in, you press a button, you could get like an Americano, you can get a latte, you can get espresso. So 3 different ways to get your coffee. I would
experiment that way, yeah.
I had
give it a try.
I had a few of each.
Yeah.
And then they had this water dispensing machine where you could add probably 6 different flavors to the water.
Just
lemon,
crazy.
Lime, strawberry, cucumber. I went with blood orange. And you could add electrolytes and caffeine to the water if you wanted as well.
That's pretty cool.
That was pretty good.
For everybody to access. I mean, that's great stuff.
That's for everyone.
Good for them.
So that was cool. They had a great candy station. We will.
Candy stations are pretty popular in these.
They're becoming more and more popular.
Like big bars and
When the season's over, at some point, we'll do Best of the West.
Oh, definitely.
And I will rank for you all the press box spreads throughout the season.
Baltimore will be in the top 10, though.
Right now, I don't want to give anything away, but right now, if this was the Olympics, they're not winning the gold, but they're on the podium. They're medaling. They're in medal. They're in medal position right now. The Baltimore.
I've heard that for years.
The Baltimore,
and a lot of it's crab cake oriented, though. I didn't know about the drink dispenser.
Yeah, and I try to lead like this is like trying to be a true what's in the stadium, not what they give us.
Right.
Like the crab cake things is typically like after the game when you're getting on the bus.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
If I would have
what's in the actual
I would have
press
gotten
box.
some, me and Mr. TV when we were gallivanting around town Saturday night would have stopped at Jimmy's and gotten some seafood if we would have known we weren't going to get it on Sunday. Matt, real quick before we go, in LA at beautiful SoFi Stadium tonight. Spoiler alert, they're on the podium for the press box food power rankings right now, too. Chargers host the Eagles. Huge game for both, but I think bigger for the Chargers.
For sure.
For the Eagles, they're going to win their division. It's just more so what type of momentum can you have and how are you feeling about yourself and seeding heading into the playoffs.
Eagles need to get their offense right, too.
They need to get their offense right, certainly.
I could see this being a low-scoring game, but I have Philly winning pretty handily.
It's only a 41.5 over-under, which is on the lower side of things.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Chargers, man, you win this one and you're like, we're 9-4. We're going to the playoffs.
That'd be huge for them. Then I might be buying in.
You lose this one and it's like, man, we got a tough schedule the rest of the way and we're banged up and we'd have no margin for error. Philly, a 2.5-point favorite across the coast.
Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles. I mean, it's not a huge home field advantage. I think the Eagles' defense causes a lot of problems. I just keep coming back to the Chargers' O-line. I think that's going to be their downfall.
I don't think either of these teams are in a great spot right now.
No.
But 2.5 is a small enough number that I'll lay it with. I'm with you.
Okay.
If it's 3.5, I'd probably take the points.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But at 2.5, Eagles by a field goal, that seems about right.
I think they win by 5 to 7.
Okay.
In that neighborhood.
I don't think it's some double-digit Eagles go in there and push them around and I just don't think that's Philly's game right now.
Not at the moment.
But the Chargers, I think, are where Philly's a little wobbly. I think the Chargers are like the boxer who might be one haymaker away from getting knocked out.
Possibly.
We'll be back tomorrow to break that all down, take a look at the playoff picture through that scope, talk to our buddy Chris Adamski, all of that and more on tomorrow's program. Thanks to Rob King for joining us. Thanks to Nathan for producing the show today. And to our video producer / statistician, keeping us sharp and crisp and handsome, as always, Mr. TV, Tyler V. For Matt Williamson, I'm Wes Uhler. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. You know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.